Well, that one there, I never even felt the bite. You know, it just kind of, I couldn't feel the bait anymore. And, you know, it's not a very big fish. He probably bit it swimming at me. And, you know, you hear a lot of the big name tournament pros, they'll talk about being line watchers and watch what's going on to be able to, you know, tell when some of those subtle bites are. And I think that's a big key. And I'm not saying you got to sit there and stare at your line, but you got to kind of understand and feel what that bait is doing in the water a lot of times, so that you can you know, pick up some of those bites that are, you're not feeling that telltale tap tap. Because a lot of people, I mean, I get a lot of questions. What does a bite on a soft plastic bait feel like? And I mean, it's truly, if you're holding your rod, you can feel that tap. You know, you can feel it here. You'll feel the thump. You'll feel the pressure. Sometimes you don't feel any of that because the fish is coming at you. I mean, there's so many different variables and ways to answer that question.
Probably one of the most common questions you hear in fishing, especially bass fishing, is what does a bite feel like? And that's hard to explain to a lot of people what it actually feels like, because you got to get a lot of experience on the water in different techniques to be able to understand what that is. And even then, there's days that some people feel the bite better than others. And there's a variety of different bites that you can have when you're bass fishing. Topwater fishing, it's very, you know, visual. You're gonna see the bite. You're gonna watch the explosion. You'll see something happen on the water, a disturbance. Sometimes the fish jumps all the way out of the water. Conversely, if you're fishing 30 feet deep, you know, dragging a big football jig or some other bait, you're not gonna see that bite. So the bites are totally different. And so that's part of the mystery, the topic, and the scenario that a lot of people just can't ever figure out when it comes to bass fishing.
Man, that fish knocked 5 feet of slack in it. He hit it. I didn't feel him load up, and I kept winding. You know, a lot of times when you're winding baits like this, one of the biggest things, you know, you first feel that tick, and sometimes that's when to jump and set the hook, and other times it's better to just kind of wait a little bit and let him take off with it. On that one there, I felt him tap, and then I just kept winding and I didn't feel anything, and then he got it on the second time, or another one got it. You never know. Honestly, never know. We all think it's the same fish, but he got it that time.
When you start talking about a bite for a bass fishing trip, or any kind of fishing trip really, there's a lot of different ways to explain it. But I don't think you can ever explain it quite as good as just time on the water and feeling a bite. Obviously in topwater fishing, when you're throwing a topwater bait around, it's very visual. You know, you're winding a bait along the top, you're popping it, you're walking the dog when a fish blows up on it. Sometimes you even see the fish jump all the way out of the water. Other times you'll see just an explosion. But what happens after that bite, to be able to hook that fish, is a total different scenario. You flip that around to throwing a crankbait, throwing a weightless worm, throwing a shaky head, throwing something out in 30 foot of water. All of those bites are different as well. There's a different feeling. There's a different thing that happens the way the bass takes the bait. There's a whole different process involved in that hook set. So you as the fisherman, hey, you gotta go fish more. You gotta spend more time on the water so that you can dissect and understand what a bite feels like.
God, this guy is mad. You're not that big to be that mad, buddy. That was one of those bites you'd love to have, where he just crushes it and there's no question in your mind. He tries to take the rod out of your hand and you set back on him. Every bite is different.